Okay, welcome back to the Home Pro Hero. If you could, please subscribe. It helps the channel dramatically. It will continue to allow me to make content such as this. Appreciate the support. Well, here we are again in the laundry room. It's part 5. If you haven't seen the other parts in the series, go back and take a look at them. First part was the demo, or actually the planning of the laundry room, what I was going to do from the start. The second part was the demo. The third part was the wainscoting that I already completed. And the fourth part, which is my last part, was the built-in cabinet that's just to my left here. This part, I'm finishing the rest of the trim here so I can move on to paint at the end. I'm looking forward to wrapping this project up with summer coming up, or I guess spring first. I'm itching to get outside and doing the things I really like to do. This has been a project in the making for some time now. I'm glad I almost have it. So what you can see here is I'm building the shelf. The shelf is going to sit in between the built-in cabinet that I already built and the wall next to the window. It's a real simple design. It's nothing crazy. I have some 1x4 L brackets there. I'm actually going to reinforce those with an angle piece, a 45-degree angle 1x4. I like the way it looks. It looks craftsman. It'll definitely strengthen up the shelf. I'm also putting in these 1x2 cleats into the wall there, making sure I hit the studs, using my trusty stud finder along in conjunction with my trusty laser, DeWalt laser. Both of these items I'll put in the description, but both these tools are very important for me on about everything I do, it seems. You can see I got the brackets in for the shelf now. I'm just simply measuring what I need for the panel. I went to Menards and picked up this finger jointed 1/2-inch pine plank. It's nothing crazy. I don't think I even cut it down. I think it was 12 inches or something like that. I may have cut it down. I don't remember. But anyways, it's not a real big shelf. It's not going to technically be an operational type shelf, if you know what I mean. We don't plan on using it like a traditional shelf. It's more for decor. Might put a plant in the corner and some other decorations and whatnot, but it's really just there for looks. Now the functional part of this shelf will be the underneath it. I'll actually have a place to hang clothes, a rod, I guess you would say. My daughter's kind of requested that. I guess she occasionally hangs up sweaters that are wet that you can't dry and other shirts that you can't dry. So this is a perfect location for this. Now if you remember, I used to have the sink underneath the shelf, but I've since moved the sink to the center of the window. So I have the physical shelf in place. I'm just got a little piece of 1x2 here. I cut it to length and I just glued it and nailed it to the front of the shelf, and that completed the shelf project. Okay, here comes a difficult part here. I didn't know how I wanted to do this. I've got this vanity, as you know, I brought it from the basement. It's actually a sink vanity. It's not really a kitchen cabinet, so it's not as deep. I found this out when I pulled it up here. It's not as deep as the other cabinets, meaning it's, you know, it's not as, I think it was like 20 inches deep. And most cabinetry is 24 in a kitchen, so it's not a problem. It actually works out in my favor. I just built it out from the wall a little bit, put some 1x material back behind it, and then I screwed it all into the studs. The nice thing about this particular setup is I'll better run the plumbing pipes behind it and not in it. If I ran the plumbing pipes to drain the water lines into the side of the cabinet, I'd probably lose the functionality of the drawers in the cabinet. I'm already going to lose some of them anyways. So I decided to center that vanity in the middle, and I'm putting 2 cubby holes on both sides. I'm going to show you the first one. I'm not going to show you the second one for the fact it's the exact same process. I put 2 rails in the front. They're both 1x2s, and then I put these 2 runners at the bottom. I went out and cut a piece of 3/4 inch plywood. I liquid nailed it in there, and there you see me installing it. Real simple design. The back, I'm just putting 2 runners up, just pine 1x. And then I'm going to go out and get, I think, another piece of 3/4 inch plywood, and I'll liquid nail that or glue that. Actually, it's not 3/4 inch. It looks like it's about a 1/4 inch. Nothing too crazy, but it fits these little baskets my wife had, so you'll see it here in a minute. The one thing I forgot to do with the built-in cabinet was to drill the holes for the center piece that goes into the floor. It's a pretty simple process, although I don't like drilling in the tile. It's something I had to do to kind of button this all up. You can see I just drilled the holes, and then I just took some deck screws or whatever I could find and screwed them into the subfloor, keeping my fingers crossed I didn't hit anything. This will keep this board in place. It's actually the divider between the washer and dryer. So I got all the, this is the final little thing here. Get this knocked out, get this tightened down. I'm gonna go ahead and push the washer and dryer into place just to get them out of my way before I paint. The hardest part of this project was working around the laundry room itself. Seems like we do a lot of laundry in this house, and you know, I do projects part-time, so when I'm not doing it, they're doing laundry. So I found myself working around a lot of laundry stuff the entire project, which drove me crazy. Seems like I had to start moving everything out again every time I wanted to start doing something in the laundry room. But I guess that's all part of it. It's part of a working room. So here you go. I got it all framed up the way I want it framed. It looks pretty good. Now remember, I'm putting tile underneath the window and that whole little trim area, everything underneath the trim area wraps it up. The trim project, now the plumbing, I actually had to route it to the new vanity. You can see that's the finished plumbing for it, the roughing, I guess you'd call it. You can see the drain and the two water lines I snuck in behind it. And I also snuck it in behind that fake panel I put in that little cubby hole. And you see I just simply reverted the plumbing the other direction. It used to go to the left, now it's going to the right. Pretty simple. I'm not a plumber, I just know enough to get it done. Moving on to painting now. I use a couple of products. I'll put them in the description. This is a wood filler. I think DAP makes it, but it basically goes on pink and it dries white. It's kind of cool because it gives you an indication when it's done. The only problem is white on white's hard to see. So if you don't remember exactly where your marks are and remember to sand those spots off, later on in the project you'll regret it because you'll have to go back and fix those. That's the only thing I don't like about it, but it does do a good job. It doesn't shrink. I'm basically just filling all the nail holes, any cracks and crevices I can find. Being pretty picky here. This is going to be a finish here, so making sure I get all the areas that matter, and I want this to look real good before I paint. That way I don't have to do too much touch up when I'm done painting. You'll see me, I go all around the room, the wainscoting, the cabinet, the shelf, even dings in the wall. This stuff works great. It's pretty cheap. The only bad thing is it doesn't have great shelf life. You can buy it and put the lid on tight, and in a month it's dry. So don't go out and buy a big tub of this stuff because it probably won't last very long. But for a little project like this, I just buy a little container and I'll go store it away. If it rots, it rots. It's not a big deal. Now you can see what I'm doing. I'm using a caulk gun. I'm using DAP, I think. I do like the product from Sherwin-Williams. I can't remember the name of it. Their caulk's really good, but I was already at Lowe's, so I just snagged a bottle of this. Well, actually, I snagged about 5 bottles of these. I simply just lay a bead, a real small bead. I get my finger wet, and I just use my finger and smooth it out. It's a pretty simple process. Keep in mind, I mean, this is the way it's going to finish out. So you want to make sure you spend some good time on this and get good finishes. Tell you, I really don't like this kind of stuff. I don't like the paint process. It has to be done. Painters aren't that expensive if you contract them, but honestly I really spend a lot of time in doing it slow and right. So I'm not good at it. I guess the finished product is good, but I'm not fast at this and it's miserable for me. But I know I'll get the job done right. I know I can save the money. That's all part of it, you know. That's why I'm doing this all myself. I mean, I can do this for the fraction of the price if I do it myself. So for me to go out and hire a painter to have this done would be stupid. It would probably blow my entire budget on one little function of it, which is paint. Something that I can easily do myself. You can see my wife there. She's continuing to do laundry as I work in the laundry room. I'm just finishing up the caulk here, in and out of those panels. I'm trying to make these panels all look like one piece. They're eventually going to be painted all white along with the trim. So it's very important to make sure I get the caulk and all the cracks between the moldings in the wall, especially the corners. Those are kind of a little picky. You just got to jam your finger in there and get it smooth. But the caulk's really easy to work with, and I've done a lot of it, so it's not that hard. Couple touch-ups here and there, and now I got the palm sander. I like to use the palm sander. The only problem is it puts a lot of dust in the air, but it's worth it. So I got the door shut, trying to keep it down to a minimum, and I'm just going around and sanding off all the spots with this little DeWalt palm sander. I'll put a description or the link in the description. Great sander, same battery platform. All my tools run the same batteries, and this little tool's money. I will use a piece of sandpaper occasionally to get in cracks and crevices I can't get with the palm sander, but for the most part I'm using the palm sander exclusively here. Now the bad thing about this also is it's kind of a finished area, the floors, and you know, with the laundry, the machines in there. I still got stuff in the cabinetry, so you know, it's definitely not as easy as a fresh build or a new construction, but that's part of it, you know. It's gonna look good when it's done. Just finishing up the inside of the cabinets, making sure they're caulked good. That's the nice thing about white painted stuff, is you can hide a lot of errors and mistakes with caulk and wood putty. So keep that in mind if you're doing a straight, you know, stained project, stained wood project. It's got to be a lot neater and cleaner with that. Finally got done with the prep for paint. Now it's a matter of sweeping up the mess that I made with the sander and starting the prep of getting ready to spray the trim work. You know, a lot of the work is the prep. Unfortunately, it's really easy to spray, but getting the room in you know, the way it needs to be so you can spray is important. You don't want to overspray too much. You want to make sure the floors are covered. You want to make sure you have plastic down in the doorway, especially when you're spraying, for the fact that everything goes in the air. You can see I got the window wrapped, all the cabinetry wrapped. That I'm not spraying. I've got the washer and dryer wrapped also. So I'm ready to go here. I got a Graco sprayer I bought a long time ago. I love the sprayer. Every time I use it, I'm intimidated for some reason. But every time I use it, I'm very happy with the finish. The reason why I'm spraying over brushing, I think there are people out there that can do a really good job brushing and make these panels look really good. But this machine does a really good job of actually spraying on a nice coat. Makes it nice and shiny and very consistent, no brush marks, and I love it. And like I said, I've had the machine probably for 2 basements, I guess, so at least 7 years, and it still runs great. I really don't take care of it too well. Every once in a while I gotta buy a new sprayer tip for it, but for the most part it does its job, and I'm really pleased, and this actually turns out really nice. Now I'm spraying the wainscoting. That's all I'm doing here. I'm going to spray the cabinet. I'm going to hit the shelf too. I'm trying to stay off the walls because I'm going to keep the walls the same color as they were originally. The wife finally gave me the okay on that. I was willing to change the color, but she liked the color the way it was, so that's the way we're going to go with it. Well, all the spraying's done. You can see how dramatically it's changed the room. I also hit the inside of those cubby holes in the cabinetry. The white color is actually the exact same color of the cabinetry, so it should turn out pretty good. You can see my overspray I had there. I basically shot that wall a little bit too much, but the nice thing is I'm going back over the top with the finished blue with the hopes that I want to do the entire wall if I fade it in right. So I usually trim it out with a brush, and I come back with this little mini roller, and that mini roller I can kind of feather it into the existing finish, and you can see how it's kind of fading right on in. I use flat paints almost all the time. I don't like shiny paint. Flat paints are a lot more forgiving when you have to touch up. You really can't notice it. If you use a shiny paint, a lot of times the finish isn't the same. It's pretty much a wrap for this video. I'm going to continue to finish painting here. But if you like this video, give me a like. Make sure you subscribe. Share with your friends and family. And look forward to the next episode on the laundry room. It's the finish. I'll do the butcher block countertops, the sink, the faucet, and I'll throw some pictures up and some decor, and this project will be officially a wrap. Well, I appreciate you spending time with the Home Pro Hero.